This is Spare Parts, your show for all things motorsports. With your hosts, Stephen Cleary, Sean Cavarella, and Taylor Moore.
Hear that music?
Welcome to Spare Parts. I'm your host, Sean.
I'm Steven.
And I'm Taylor.
Okay,
Third time's the charm.
Yeah, there
Good
we
enough.
go. How are you guys doing today?
I'm good.
Fantastic.
I'm high on Disney magic, you know?
Is that like the Magic Mushroom Kingdom or something like that?
The Magic Mushroom Kingdom? No, pretty sure that's illegal down there, but I guess it's some sort of magic.
Wait, there's
Actually,
stuff
it's
illegal
capitalism.
There's stuff
That's what it
illegal in
is.
Florida?
No, there
I'm
isn't.
pretty
Exactly.
sure. What?
There's
Well,
no laws
it's
in
illegal
Florida.
in Disney. You can't bring drugs into Disney.
Ah, cowards.
Not with that attitude, you can't.
Exactly.
Anyway, how are you guys?
Yeah, pretty good. Not a whole lot to report, really.
Nope.
Yeah. Just, finished House of the Dragon this weekend. That was good.
That was
As-
good.
Yep, gotta wait fucking 2 years now. That's great.
Plus,
Yeah. Yeah, but
let's
that...
be honest. They'll
Yeah, big
find some
sad.
bullshit reason to delay editing or filming or
Yeah,
some
but
bullshit.
by the next time that next episode comes out, Verstappen will be a 4-time champion.
Maybe.
I mean, the way things are going. So, what do we want to talk about this week?
Maybe.
Obviously, we have to hit the US Grand Prix because there was a whole lot of shenanigans that came out of that.
Mm-hmm.
We have, I guess, some NASCAR stuff to talk to, and I guess some other off-track stuff we can get to that's in the world of motorsports. So, I guess
Pick
we'll
a starting point. Let's go.
Let's start with the race. What did you guys think of the race?
You be specific. Which race are we talking about?
The United States Grand Prix, you jackass.
Okay. You name two races, and then you just generically say, "How'd you like the race?" So, pick a lane.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Something Science didn't do.
I literally asked, what'd you think of the race, Steven? And you went, Steven, what did you goddamn think of the freaking race?
It was good.
That's it?
That's it?
No, I'm just trying to piss Sean off as much as possible.
Couldn't have a fucking
Oh my
aneurysm
gosh.
because
I
of you.
think he does look like he's about to explode.
Okay, anyway.
Uh,
So, do we lose Taylor again?
That's what I
No,
thought. I thought
I'm
she
still
froze.
here. I was waiting for Steven's explanation because
Sorry,
if,
you
if
look
he's going to
frozen
stick with
there.
that's good.
You
No,
look
I was
frozen, so I
waiting for his
assumed-
explanation.
All I'm gonna say
I mean,
is
we
Taylor
can't
came
assume that I'm
back,
frozen,
and it's.
but
All I'm gonna say is Taylor came back. It's been a train wreck. That's all I'm gonna say.
Taylor, this is a audio form media. You can't just
Well,
flip in
I don't
both
need to
middle
be-
On
fingers.
YouTube, John, you're literally gonna put this on YouTube, so you can't say
Yes,
that.
yes, but we get more listens not on
You can't
YouTube,
say-
so
just an audio. Okay,
So you can't
first
just
off, I don't
double
want to be
flip
rude
off
to the
Steven.
audience. Well, yes, I can.
swear every
can.
episode, so.
True. Okay. So, Steven, is that your final thoughts? Just
It was
that
good.
it was good.
It was a good race. Lots of shenanigans, like Sean said. We still don't even fully know the results yet because of the Alpine appeal, which is now set for
Oh,
Thursday.
right.
So we don't even know how this race has fully ended yet. That's the. It's nice to know the FIA is still a shit show because we can't decide anything on time.
Yeah, that it
We gotta.
is.
I think
sit
they
and
might
wait.
be the biggest gimmick in motorsports. The FIA.
I mean, it could always be worse. There
Could
are
it?
If that's true.
worse sporting organizations out there.
Yeah, as Canadians, yeah.
True.
Yeah.
That is
Especially
very
with
true.
What we've kind of learned from other sporting organizations in the last summer. So, maybe
You
let's
say Canada-
appreciate a bit of the FIA for sometimes.
It's not the worst thing, I guess. Having to wait.
Well, no. That's
Anyway, Taylor, what did you think of the
okay.
race?
Anyway. I thought it was interesting. A lot happened in the race itself, as well as surrounding the event. So I thought it was good. I thought it was an entertaining race to watch. The end of it was kind of meh, but I was happy with the podium. I was happy that Leclerc was able to get P2, obviously.
Leclerc got P2?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's news to me.
What?
Hamilton.
What
You still-
happened at the end of the race?
Are you still drunk? Yeah, I think she's still drunk.
Maybe.
Yeah, like I'm like, when did Leclerc get
Yeah.
P2?
Yeah. Was Hamilton also penalized somewhere in there? I thought it was
Yeah.
just Alonso.
I literally had to
okay,
look it up
well,
because I wasn't sure.
Let's looking it up, and yeah, no, that's a 44 and a Mercedes. So unless Leclerc has magically swapped spots,
again, obviously I'm still in vacation mode, so I'm happy with Leclerc P3 after his 10 grid penalty or whatever. So
Fair enough. For
it was a
me-
good drive.
For me, I hated this race.
yeah.
Oh, why?
I was on track to win like $150 at one point and ended up with zero. Everything
Who
that
did you
was
bet on?
oh, there was a
Do
number.
not say.
we had a couple.
There was a few.
Okay, I was.
Aston
Did you
Martin,
bet on Stroll?
double top six.
I had Stroll in the points. I had a Vettel top 6. I had a Hamilton win. I had Mick in the points, and then fucking Haas is like, no, Mick, you can't be in the points. Oh, it was a time. I think I had like 16 cars finishing. So if only Alonso had freaking retired. Yeah, there was a lot of things that really should have gone my way. That didn't.
But didn't.
No. So it was a frustrating watch for me.
That is very fair. That is very, very fair.
What was your most favorite part of the race weekend?
Oh, that's an easy one, but I'll let you two go first just to see if I've got the same answer.
To be honest, I didn't like.
Catch
I
a
feel
lot?
like I actually like. I caught qualifying. I caught the race coverage and everything. I just somehow didn't retain any of it. So it's like I can't actually think of a moment from the whole weekend that was like a favorite of mine. Other than maybe the Midnight's memes.
Okay, the Midnight's memes were fucking fantastic. I will
What a-
100% agree with that.
What a Friday!
What was the Friday?
Taylor,
That was great.
Taylor Swift album and F1.
Yeah. Also, was it not
What a way
weird
to
having
start.
F1 like on midday for us, not in the mornings?
Yes, it's very
Yeah,
weird.
I
that was kind
didn't
of,
like
like,
it actually.
odd.
Like I gotta wait
Really?
till 5. Well, usually my Sundays
Oh, very
involve
true.
getting up, watching the F1 race. When that's over, switching on either the IndyCar or NASCAR race, which usually follows it, and then usually another race follows that. So my Sundays are usually packed full of races, and this time it wasn't. So I'm kind of like, wow. I had to choose between two, and I chose F1 obviously.
Obviously. I would hope.
I don't really care for Homestead.
It was a meh race.
Exactly. Anyway, this race was not a meh race, and probably one of my favorite parts of it was the last 20 lap fight.
Oh, I thought you were going with the favorite part of the weekend.
Well, it's the weekend as a whole. I thought actually the ending of the race was very exciting.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
And that it was.
Yeah.
That it was. I thought we all would have given the answer of Horsey McHorse.
Oh, of course.
That was my favorite part of the
Ooh,
weekend.
that rhymed.
What, Horsey McHorse rhymed?
No, Horsey McHorse, and then I said, of course.
Oh, yeah, okay. That's... I didn't catch
Ow.
that. I missed that completely. That went over my head.
Well, it
Fine,
makes
whatever.
sense. You're like 5'2" or whatever.
Oh, that is uncalled for, my friend. Oh.
It's always called for.
Oh, Steven is going through for your throat tonight.
Nah, not the first time.
Oh. Oh.
Keep it PG. Save it for the OnlyFans.
What? He tries to kill me all the time. That's what I'm referring to.
Always. Yeah.
Of course. Mm-hmm. Sure it was.
Anywho.
Anyway.
Anywho.
That was uncalled for, Steven.
No.
Fuck you.
So offended.
You're welcome.
So, Horsey McHorse was Steven's favorite part of the weekend?
Always.
Okay, that's fair.
I mean, Horsey McHorse was great.
Anyways, we should actually probably talk about the race.
Yes. Where do we want to begin? Opening lap?
Yeah, because
When
turn one.
When Ferrari still had hopes and dreams?
Turn
Yeah.
one. You know what? I feel so bad for Sainz. Honestly, I really do.
I don't. It's his own fault.
50-50.
Qu'est-ce que c'est?
That was Sainz's own fault.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was. The fact that George got a penalty for that was bullshit.
I disagree. Russell even accepted responsibility for the whole thing.
Yeah, he shouldn't have. He's too
For
nice.
like the first time. No. Are you kidding me,
Okay,
Sean?
you can't cut back off the exit of a corner and cut in the middle of a track on the first lap and then be surprised when the car's there. Especially off a tight turn like that, where that is such a wide entry and you know there's multiple lines into it. Yeah, no, you can't pull that. What Sainz should have done is just sit behind Verstappen. Because, okay, what are you going to do? Pull around him and try to go side by side through the S's when you're already behind him? That's not going to work. You take your lumps, you sit behind him, and you get him on the long straight. What Sainz did was stupid, and it cost him the race.
Okay. If anything, it's both of their faults. Because you can see that Russell cut into him as well.
He was just there.
No, he wasn't. And he also accepted responsibility. People just don't do that if they don't have some fault in a situation. Also, the whole Russell being too nice thing, no. He literally is so quick to blame everybody else but himself. This is the first time he's actually admitted fault in a situation. And you're
see a
telling me that
meme.
he's fine? Like, oh.
There is a meme where like Russell
What?
was taking out like 7 different guys this season.
Yeah, he's
Yes.
he's slowly getting a bit of a reputation, I'd say.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. He's kind of sounds a little bit like Hamilton, where everything else is everybody's fault except
Well,
for
No,
his.
but
That's all.
Hamilton usually is at the front, so like, you know.
John,
Well,
did you hit
not
that?
right now,
did you hit,
but
John, did you hit the under as well on Taylor hating on Hamilton?
Yeah, it was the under 20-minute mark, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't hate on him. I'm just saying that in the past, that was his go-to. Not this season because he hasn't been in front enough to actually do that. So.
Which even goes against him because Hamilton's been in no incidents despite having to actually race people. Uh-huh.
Good for him, but not in the past. Again, anyway.
Jesus. Okay, go on.
Oh, I don't have anything else to
Oh, that's
add.
it? It's just
I
that-
said my piece.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, alongside because
Yeah,
just
no, I'm-
alongside.
I think Sainz screwed his own race over. He made a dumb, impatient move and hit a guy who just happened to be there.
Okay, well, I see your point, and I will only admit that maybe it was a 50-50 situation. But Russell had some, what's the word I'm looking for? Why am I so brain dead today?
Today?
Involvement in that incident.
Fair enough. However, off the start, we had a great job by the Aston Martins running like 3.6 at one point.
Oh, it looked so good
I was like, yes!
for a while.
I
And
was
then-
waiting for Sean to say something in the chat about like having hope for Aston Martin, and nothing came. I was so disappointed.
And they still fucked themselves over.
Yep.
Yeah, they did. They did.
Not just the current Aston Martins, the future Aston Martin driver as well. Oh, it's so
Okay.
funny.
So before we get to that part of the Aston Martin mess ups, let's say, Have they figured something out? They had pace.
Like
it looks
car
like it.
wise.
Yeah, car wise, it
Yeah.
looks like they are slowly figuring things out because they've had a good second half and they've looked really strong this weekend, and they looked like
They were
top
faster than
top
the McLarens.
8. Yeah, they were like top
They
8
were.
competitive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were the 4th, 5th best car this weekend.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I think whatever they've done to their car is definitely in the right direction. So I think they're ironing out the issues that they've had with it like over the season. So
And you can even
it's
see like
just
on Vettel's run at the end though. Sorry to cut you off.
Mhm.
He was passing a lot of cars. So
Right, he
clearly-
was on
He
fresher
was.
tires.
exactly,
Right?
but there's clearly something there.
But it was a very
yeah,
big difference.
the car's got some zoom now where it was lacking. So it's good to see the improvement. It just is disappointing that the improvement is coming so late in the season when Vettel is only has 3 races left.
Yep.
So I was so hoping for a better result for him, and it was just heartbreaking to watch
Vettel
that pit
podium.
stop. That kind of
Vettel podium in Brazil will happen.
I would love to see it, please. I'll bet.
Well, clearly the Aston Martins are very strong in high downforce setups. Their rear wing, the cheating rear wing, seems to be working. I'm just saying, I think in Mexico they'll get slaughtered. That long straight, they're dead. They won't even touch points. However, in Brazil, that is a good downforce circuit. So I can see them being good there.
Okay, well, we'll keep an eye out for that then.
We shall. But yeah,
I
they
have hope. For the first time this season, I have hope.
that is fair. And Taylor, your internet's going to crap again. What can you do? I know. Anyway,
Rage in delay mode.
yeah, the rage is not with her.
Rage.
Rage at the machine.
Yes.
Sure. So, Stephen, should we talk about while Taylor gets her things sorted, the first Aston Martin incident of the day?
Yeah, the one that everyone is blaming on Lance Stroll, not 100% rightfully, with his future teammate. So go for it.
Okay.
You have very strong feelings on this, so you should definitely lead this.
My take on the Lance Stroll Alonso
Yeah.
incident, that is a 50-50 incident.
Yep.
That
And
is
Okay.
okay. I think the Lance Stroll problem is he has a reputation and people don't like him. And like even Alonso was kind of like, it happens, right?
And to be fair, the guy he crashed with,
Is his teammate next
his
year.
dad is signing your check next year, so you maybe don't want to say anything too bad. But again, like, so Sean, you were showing us before we started
Good to
a
have you back,
synced
Taylor.
up. Is she?
Yeah.
Okay, good enough.
Okay, good.
Then we'll iron it out. It was a synced up video of the onboards of Alonso and Stroll, and they both just make a really late move at the same time. And I think the one thing that was being pointed out a lot on Twitter, outside of Stroll's just an idiot, because I know I said that from a couple blue check marks as well. It's also just part of what F1 accepts as defending, which is you can slide across at the
Yep.
last second, and we've seen it
So many
happen
times.
a lot. Yeah, and does it always result in a crash? No, but it has resulted in crashes before. So
Yeah.
this one was just very dramatic and had the hinge point of, well, a lot of us hate Lance Stroll because we think he's a pure pay driver and has no skill whatsoever. So
But yeah, I think Stroll is like a 55-45 in that. He didn't have to make that move. Alonso had the run, but it's generally a move that's accepted. Alonso shouldn't have waited as late as he did to pull out because he knew there was a chance Stroll could come across. And also,
most guys are not pulling out right at the where it's like a couple inches of crossover.
Yeah. And even on the onboard, you can see Alonso goes left and then goes right, almost back at him, unsure where Stroll's going. Because I think Alonso thought to go underneath them the second Stroll pulled out, but it was too late at that point. So, it's an incident. It happens. It's unfortunate that it ended Stroll's day. Alonso got so lucky to get away with that with a broken wing. And apparently a missing mirror or something else.
No, his mirror was loose and it fell off after. It fell off. I can't remember what lap it was, but that was another big point and sort of leads to the fact. So, as Sean said, Alonso was able to finish the race, worked his way back up to 7th, I think, right? Is where he ended up.
Yeah, 7th.
Yeah.
But now what has happened is Haas has launched an appeal saying that he shouldn't have even raced because the car was clearly damaged. You know, the mirror falling off.
It hit the barrier at like almost close to 200.
And that is a legitimate safety concern. However, the car easily could have gotten the meatball. And it didn't for the entire, 30 laps or so after?
Yeah.
I find it hilarious. Sainz retired after that contact with George. Alonso flies through the air, hits the wall, keeps going.
Yep.
I don't know what that Alpine is made of, like something else.
Mithril.
It must super glued. Who knows?
They found Valyrian steel. Stuck it in the car.
That's what those suspensions are made out of.
Yeah.
Valerian steel.
I agree. Like, I thought that car was completely done. Like,
I saw him in the wall and I'm like, oh, no, he's done. Yeah, nope. Drove it back to 7th.
Yep.
So that was...
And now is 15th. Haas appealed it. It's now being... Haas challenged it. FIA said, you know what? Yeah, we probably should have called that. We're scrapping the car. Then Alpine's like, well, you could have told us that during the race.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're appealing and being like, why is it our fault that you couldn't make a call? So, fantastic. Here we are again.
Yeah, where do you feel that? Where do you feel fair?
The FIA should have said, that car doesn't look great and retired it if that's how they feel now. Because here's the other thing. They okayed it after the race. It was Haas saying, we don't think that car is legal. And we think there's too much damage. It shouldn't have been racing because we have been screwed over by that in the past by getting a meatball after crashes. Because they also tried to challenge Perez because he lost an end plate on the front wing, right?
Yep.
And they were sitting there like, well, how come that isn't being called? We've been called in for that, and we've lost points because of it. I think it was K-Meg was like, we've been called in I've been called in 2 or 3 times this season.
Mm-hmm.
Why are they not getting called in?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
I understand exactly where Haas is coming from with that complaint.
Oh, 100%.
And I understand also, but at the same time, I understand where Alpine is coming from because they were told, or if they're not told, you got to bring the car in. It doesn't look safe to us. Okay, I'm gonna race until you guys call me in. I'm gonna race. We've had a quick look at it and it looks fine. The mirror's a bit of a weird one because it's not like it's fused on with different weld points. There's 2, I think. So comes loose after a couple more trips over the bumps. That could happen. You don't want to see it, and it is a safety concern, but it might not be something you can assess to the fullest extent if you're trying to get the car back out. So
I think it should be okay to drive a damaged car.
Yeah, and to an extent, right? Like as long as you're not causing knowing safety. So again, with the mirror, they might have a quick look at it. Yeah, it looks fine, but then you go over the curbs another 30 times, and okay, now it popped off because it took one too many hits, and it's just gotten loose.
But that could happen with any component.
Exactly, the end plates. We've seen people drive with end plates dangling off the side, and nope, nothing. End plate eventually comes off. Okay, yeah, there it goes.
Yeah.
So
we've seen guys like, remember, what was it? Hungary, was it last year? Where, who was it that lost all their barge boards? Was it Hamilton or Verstappen? One of them
I can't
lost
remember.
all their barge boards because a tire just went right in and wiped them all out. Car is damaged. It's fine to continue.
Yep.
So
So
I don't see why everything has to be, if your car is not in pristine condition, you gotta bring it in. Even like the end plate, like the thing flapping away. Cars used to drive with like hanging off wings. Like,
Yeah.
I don't see it being that big of an issue.
yeah, at the very least, it should be guys just address that quickly, whether it's ripping it off or whatever. If it's knowingly a hazard, like a safety hazard, sure, call it, bring it in, get rid of it, replace it, whatever. But again, with the mirror, yeah, you don't want to see it because it could, like, for God forbid, like something like what happened with Massa, right, where a loose bolt hit him in the head and he got
Spring.
knocked out and crashed, or spring, whatever.
I know.
A piece of metal hit him in the head going like 200k.
That was a lot heavier than
So-
a mirror anyway.
Yeah. So you don't want a situation similar to that happening again. But again, if Alpine looked at it, it's like, yeah, it's secure enough and we don't see any issue with it. They can't anticipate another 20, 30 laps of damage being impacted over the curbs. So
Just force of the wind on it too. Like a whole
Yeah.
bunch of things that are at play, and you can't make that call. So either
yeah,
Mhm.
if you're trying to get out and have a competitive car at the end of a race or for the back half of the race.
Yeah, so I think the FIA should just kind of be like, sorry, Haas. Let's be honest, the only reason you got pulled in earlier in the year is because I think it was Alonso actually behind them was complaining about it. Because you had a big name
Yeah.
complaining about a Haas car that they couldn't overtake, and they're like, oh, well, look at the end plate. Okay, fine, we'll call
Yep.
them in.
But again,
Yeah.
that's a complaint in the race.
Exactly. It's
Right?
wrong. It's wrong.
And that's
It's wrong altogether.
yes, but then you can at least make a call based on, or the stewards brought the car in. Now we're challenging it well after. Apparently Haas also submitted the paperwork after the deadline to submit it. So, that's a whole other thing here. But it just seems like such a this situation is just such a mess. And
Well-
I'm not at all surprised.
Yeah, and I think it very much lends itself to the overall theme of the season for the FIA in general is the lack of consistency in their decision-making process.
Yeah, I'd rather see. I don't like this whole rotating stewards thing. I'd rather see just the same.
No, and they're keeping the same one for the last couple races here. So
I think they might be trying to maybe get some consistency in their I guess officiating, which is I
Mhm.
think it's what everyone asks for, right? Like everyone wants just be consistent.
Yep.
That's what every
Yeah.
person, every sport wants in their officials is to know that I'm getting the same call that anyone else would get. And I can understand Haas's complaint of, well, how come I was penalized and they weren't?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Steven, are you seeing looking at the tweet I just sent you?
no, Jacksonville just made a trade, so that's what I'm looking at. But also, yes, I did see
Okay.
the tweet you shared.
It was an old
So yeah,
footage. I think it's like from back in the 80s of Gilles Villeneuve with his front wing just crumpled in the front of his car where he has to like drive looking around it. Good times.
Oh my gosh.
It was a simpler time back then.
Back in the day.
yeah,
You know that.
Oh my.
nice.
Yeah, well, anything went in that time period, so.
Honestly. But yeah. So, besides the penalties and everything else, did you guys see any, or do you guys want to talk about anything else about the race that stuck out to you?
Seb led the race for a little bit, and it was glorious.
It was glorious to see. I did have one point to bring up about the US GP and the weekend in general, and that was press conference between the oh my gosh, I'm literally brain dead tonight.
Just tonight?
Huh?
Nothing. Don't worry about it. Continue.
Okay, rude. It just registered what you said. Anyway, between Horner and Zach Brown, the team principals. Yeah. Okay. Press conference Thursday, Friday, Thursday. So obviously there's a lot, like the whole controversy surrounding Red Bull and the cost cap is just continuing, and we still don't know what the end result of that is going to be in terms of how Red Bull is going to be penalized or what's going to happen with that. But what I did find a little bit distressing is Horner stating that, I mean, Zach Brown's letter about and like calling them cheaters and kind of branding Red Bull as like, you know, the whole cost cap breach being them cheating, which I understand where they're coming from. However,
They did break the rules.
they broke the rules, but it didn't necessarily mean that the funds were diverted to the development of the car. Like it's not a direct like cheating scandal.
But if you pay
Anyway.
more for something
Okay.
that may have benefited your team,
Just let me. Okay.
Okay.
Shush. Let me finish my point before you jump in with your
logic,
devil's advocate. No, shush.
go on.
Anyway, my whole point is what I find distressing is that Horner is now stating that kids of the employees of the Red Bull team are now getting bullied by people who, like outside, who I guess are fans of Ferrari or fans of Mercedes or fans of other teams. And honestly, like it's sad to know that like the politics of F1 is so far reaching that now there are kids who have like no stake in this issue whatsoever. Like they're not in the meetings with the financial guy saying like, yeah, you overspend. But now they're the victims in the situation too. Like they're being bullied for really no reason just because their parents work at a team. Like that's not okay. That's not
That's
right.
fair. No, agreed. Like the kids and even the employees should not be held responsible for honestly what is a executive decision on how to spend money.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. And
I was gonna say they report out the costs. They don't know what totals that are being worked with in the
No.
end. That budget is decided by the management team.
Yeah, but there's two things here
Precisely.
you have to do, right? You have to separate the shitty people who are going after the employees and the families of employees and blaming them or bullying them, I guess, and the team itself breaching an agreed upon rule, winning the championship, and what consequences they should get, right? Like, I agree. Those people should not have anything. Like, I feel bad for any person who is basically dealing with any kind of bullying as a result of that.
it's also Perez and Verstappen. Like I'm not a fan of Verstappen. You both know that.
Yep.
But when they're being interviewed and all you can hear in the background is the fans of other teams chanting cheaters, 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 like that's not fair for them either. They had they don't have any involvement in that whatsoever. Like they're not in those meetings saying, yeah, let's overspend on our catering and, you know, that employee's benefits and whatever. Yes, Sean?
My point being is that, like, okay, yes, they shouldn't be yelled at and everything, but I've always said Verstappen makes a great villain.
He does.
And I think Red Bull makes a good villain team. Horner has great villain energy. He really does.
Okay,
And
yeah,
it's-
like I
there's
agree
an
with
element
that.
of it which is kind of fun for the fandom of the sport to kind of be like, let's not. It's like the Yankees in baseball, right? Everyone hates the Yankees except Yankees fans, right?
Fair enough.
So it's like the same thing with like Red Bull. Maybe everyone hates Red Bull except Red Bull fans. That's not a bad thing. Again, don't go after the families of like the employees. Don't go after the like children of employees. Go after the people you see. Go after the drivers. Go after Horner. Go after Marco.
Like, and that's fine. Like, and I agree with that. Like, okay, sure, there can be a villain in F1, but I do think that like there just has to be a degree of humanity that's still involved in that. Like, it's I guess like for me, for sure. Like hearing that kids are being victims, like that's just wrong. But like also the whole like cheating thing, I guess like I'm on the other side of that argument. I have a very different viewpoint of Sean on that, so as it seems. So
Here's my
I guess I
thing.
just see it differently.
Since we're talking about the whole cheating thing, my biggest issue with this cheating cost breach scandal is the negotiating of a punishment.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, Ferrari did the same thing though when they had their like,
No, but this is
not
different
necessarily illegal engines.
because this is going to establish precedent for the next ever in F1 for however teams overspend.
True.
If a team is given a slap on the wrist for a minor overspend, okay, yeah, I spent an extra £5 million on catering. We ordered lots of wings. What can I say? It's Red Bull. We give them to you. You know?
Ha 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 ha.
Exactly. Also,
Okay.
front wings.
Uh-huh.
But like, if it's okay, well, they spent $2 million over on catering and an extra $1 million on car development, but these guys spent $5 million on catering. Who's done worse? Right? You
The
have
1 million on car development.
Well, apparently not, because that's less than the 5. You need to keep the sport in the cost cap, because the cost cap is what makes it competitive, and it actually makes it healthier as a sport. Because
I agree with that.
smaller teams are able to grow and to actually make profit. Because they have a sponsor, they can have a set budget, they know what they can spend. They may not even get to that cost cap, but they can play within it.
Mm-hmm. No, and I agree with that. I agree with that. The cost cap was needed for so many different reasons in F1. I'm not entirely seeing the connection between like the cheating and like calling it cheating. Like, wasn't an overspend? Absolutely. Is it against the rules? Absolutely.
It's
But
against the rules.
But that's right. But that doesn't mean that it's cheating. There's a difference.
If it's against the rules and it gives you an advantage.
But it didn't give them an advantage in the car.
No,
because that's not where the overspend was.
But if you're spending more on your team, on your crew, then yes, that can give an advantage. All of a sudden, people are making less mistakes, maybe having better pit stops because you've put more money into your team. The team isn't just the car, and it isn't just the drivers. It is everyone. If you were spending more money to ensure everyone's comfortable in a race weekend, that can have a big advantage.
Okay. I see where you're coming from. Again, I think we're just going to have to agree to disagree on this one. I don't see it as a direct, like, cheating link.
But I think, again, it's not about necessarily the cheating, but it's also about the precedent it's going to set going forward. It needs to be severe enough of a punishment that teams can't overspend. Even if it is a little bit. The idea is don't overspend. This cost cap is for your benefit as a team.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with that. I'm not saying that Red Bull shouldn't be punished severely. I agree that they should be.
So.
Okay,
Steven,
cool.
Steven, thoughts? Anything? Anything to add?
I think
You're gonna sit in the fence in this one again?
no. I think that the FIA is still like sort of fucking this up as well, because part of it almost seems like there was lots of room left for interpretation of the rules, and I think there should have been very clear outset penalties for going over, and it should have been, if you're over, it doesn't matter if you're over by a pound or over by a million, you're getting fucked somehow. Because right, again, as we kicked off this whole, I don't know, debate discussion with, they're negotiating what the punishment is. That shouldn't be a thing.
No.
It should just be you're over the budget. Here's your penalty. It's the same thing as if who had it? I think it was Gasly had a penalty Stroll had a penalty. This was it last weekend for being 0.6 kilometers over the pit lane speed limit. Got slapped with a penalty.
Still over.
Simple. Yeah, it's simple. Can you also work in tolerances so that way it's not like, oh, you're 30 cents over because of a rounding error somewhere. Sorry, you're gonna lose 100 championship points in a very close year. No, I think you can work in some flexibility. It doesn't have to be super rigid, but they've left it very easy for the big budget teams to find loopholes. Like, what is it? If it's 5 million over, Brundle was going over this on I think Thursday or Friday. That's a big chunk of the budget for the smaller market teams.
Yeah.
Especially now when we don't have any balancing. So maybe you got to do something like not a hard cap, but like a luxury tax, so that way you can
spend over, but you have to pay the other teams.
Yeah, so like Red Bull's like, okay, you know what? We're really going for it this year. This is our year. We're gonna spend 5 million over. Okay, you lose your budget, or that 5 million is being spread to the bottom two teams, and you're gonna lose that, and you're gonna lose that next year.
If you spend 5 million, you have to give 5 million each to the bottom three teams.
Or bottom half of the grid.
So if you want to spend 5 million extra, it's costing you 20.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You do something to some sort of luxury tax to say, okay, you can overspend. That's not a problem. And if other teams want to overspend with you, that's fine. But now all your opponents that you consider lesser are going to be your rivals, and they're going to have a ton of money to spend next year.
Mm-hmm.
I think what they should just do is just kneecap them in terms of development. Okay, you spend over, you're losing all your development time. Losing all your, like, not all, but significant.
A good chunk of it.
We're going to reduce your CAD and wind tunnel time. Especially because
Yeah.
right now, they're already at the top. So if
Yeah.
the FIA had any balls and just gave them a solid kneecapping right now, next year would be so much fun because you would actually have a competition for the championship.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, and again, like you should be able to, break it down more than, oh yeah, if it's 5% or less or over 5%, because 5% of $145 million is still like $7 million. That's a lot of money.
Mhm.
Yes.
That's not like we were, after development and we had to fix a car or we had to get an extra engine because our reliability was dog shit this year. Ferrari. We had to buy an extra engine. We're $100,000 over because we had to buy a couple extra pieces. Okay, that's whatever. We'll give you.
We had
that's
we had crash damage. We had a couple bad crashes. We had to write off a few chassis.
Exactly. Will that, like, if you're $100,000 over because of something like that, that's a slap on the wrist. You should have accounted that and maybe left yourself a little more wiggle room. That's a no-no. But if you're 7 million over, for, again, like Sean said, for whatever reason,
Mhm.
that's not a small difference.
You're actively pushing the limit here, and I think
Yeah.
Red Bull is. They are testing to see what they can get away with under these new rules.
Yeah.
I mean, Aston Martin also overspent, but weren't they like 1 million over?
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
it was very minor.
They said it was something procedural, and I think that's what they said for Red Bull as well. But if it's procedural, again, and a couple 100,000 or 1 million even, that's like 1 million we'll say is like upper tolerance of how did you guys screw this up. But it's also really the first year of doing this, so I could understand it. Again, it's very the limits sound like it's very mixed. And also, let's not forget, you're dealing with teams that are working in different currencies because of their location. I think Red Bull, they were expecting some incentive from the government or something that was supposed to, and that legally could have saved them money or something. So it just seems like there's a lot of places you could find loopholes, which they were going to do anyways, because one, it's a whole bunch of accountants and lawyers trying to finagle as much money out as possible, and two, there's the old saying, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. So
No, true. I also love
may as well cheat.
I love how Red Bull still is like, we didn't spend over.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, that's a little like, okay.
It's but anyways, there's a lot of the FIA left a lot of room for loopholes to be exposed, and I think that's still the biggest issue with the cost cap right now. And they tried to made the rules rigid, the punishments loose as fuck, and are now either going to have to make a move that pisses off Red Bull or a move that pisses off the rest of the grid. And I think we know which way it's going to go.
Yeah, they're going to piss off the rest of the grid.
Exactly. And now we're going to see. The one thing this has been good for is the memes. As always, the memes will always thrive. The amount of people who just started making like spaceships and putting "This is Toto Wolff's Mercedes" next year after he just says "fuck the cost cap."
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like a Star Fox spaceship flying around. Oh, that was good.
There were some good ones.
Yep. So, anywho. But yeah, I guess quickly related to the cost cap. So the little negotiation has also been delayed because we lost Dietrich Mateschitz, the founder of Red Bull and the, I guess, team owner for Red Bull and AlphaTauri.
Yeah.
So very sad there. And this is one thing. I know I've complained about this, how long this has taken to get to this point, but I think this is one where we've already waited this long. Two, this is a reasonable delay. Like, it's a big loss for the grid, and I think for maybe not so much for some of the younger drivers, but for some of the older drivers, like your Sebs, anyone who has raced for under the Red Bull flagship, it's probably a little bit of a bigger loss for the rest of the grid, and someone who's probably been around as long as Horner as well. He's owned that team since 2004, I think it was.
They took over from Jaguar. Now, all that is true, Stephen, and it is sad for anyone to die. There is the cynical side of me.
Oh yeah, I'm not surprised.
I know. I'm an
and
asshole.
You're probably. I'm sad to say you're probably not the only one
who says that he actually died maybe 2 weeks ago, and we're just kind of announcing it now when it's convenient for the team to stop negotiating.
Okay, I see where you're coming from, but
there was a report, I think it was maybe 10 days ago or something, that he had died. No one ran with that report, but it was out there, and a couple publications did actually say that he had died then.
Well, and he'd been fighting I can't remember what the illness was, but he'd been fighting something for a while, right? So,
okay. Slight cynical side of me, and it's because Red Bull's the villain. Always got to think of Red Bull as the villain. Maybe, just maybe. Am I the asshole for thinking this? Possibly.
A little bit.
Just putting it out there. That's what I heard. That's what I thought. I'm just asking the questions.
You're probably not the only one thinking that. So.
Yeah, I would agree. You're probably not the only one.
It is what it is. Anyway, is that all we have for F1 stuff? Is there anything else to cover?
Yeah, we can talk about we can talk about the young guns because that's still not decided, but we can do that next week.
So which ones?
Mostly Logan Sargent. But
yes,
let's do that.
He has to get his.
Yeah.
Okay, it was nice to see a lot of the young guys getting that FP1 run.
Yeah, and Antonio Giovinazzi.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yikes.
Okay, we also talked about, I guess, Haas skewering Mick Schumacher.
Okay, so they've done that multiple times already. What's your point?
They've done that multiple times this year where he is in the points and they pit him at the end of the race.
Yeah. So
he's not getting that seat next year.
No,
he's already said he's walking away from the Ferrari camp, so Haas falls under that umbrella.
Yep.
We knew that.
So let's quickly talk about that, I guess, because we can say that Logan Sargent Williams is basically confirmed, which leaves the last seat for F1 is the Haas one.
It's confirmed as long as he stays in the super license point spot he currently is. I believe he needs to finish 6th or better in the 2 championship, and he's currently 3rd, but it's a 10-point difference for him to fall out of that super license spot.
I think as long as he doesn't wreck out 2 races in a row, which is pretty rare, I'm sure he'll be fine.
Yep.
So, but yeah, so the last seat is basically been reported. It's a toss-up between Nico Hülkenberg and Mick Schumacher.
Gonna go to Nico. I don't
God.
think it's like.
What is with F1's fucking obsession with this guy?
Yeah, I don't know.
Hülkenberg's not good.
Yeah, he has a lot of hype and no proof, I guess.
Like, you're really gonna put this guy in that seat because his name? He's
I
proved
guess.
nothing. He's always been beaten by his teammates. He's been out of F1 for 2 years. I don't see any world where Nico Hülkenberg is the better option than Mick fucking Schumacher.
Agreed.
Yeah, like Mick has had his moments, but they also haven't done anything to help him, and then they're questioning why he's not getting the results that they want. It's someone did it perfectly where it's the guy on a bicycle with a stick
Yep.
meme, and
Saw
it's
that one.
Mick in the points. Time to pit Mick. Shove the stick in the tire. Guy on the ground. How did Mick not score points? What the fuck is wrong with him?
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know. We'll see where everyone ends up. I mean, there's still, we'll say there's 1.5 seats left. Logan's got his feet in the car, but he hasn't sat down yet.
Yeah, and Haas is
Yeah.
trying to kick Mick out the door for some old geriatric at this point.
Well, someone's gonna get very lucky just scooping him up for nothing.
I'd put Vettel in that seat before I would put Hülkenberg.
Hawking.
Oh, 100%.
You know, Vettel had some fun at the end of the race and said he was going to miss it. So maybe that'll be hey, you sure you don't want to come back for one last hurrah, bud?
Did you see
Get over the
K-Mag's
300 race?
comment?
No.
Oh, he was basically saying like his fight with Vettel. I'll see if I can find it quickly. Da-da-da. I'm looking.
Look faster.
Okay, I didn't have this plan, but he basically like it was sort of
Clearly.
the most like clear, like clean, respectable, good hard racing they have had.
Yeah, and it was like that was.
No, yeah.
It was very entertaining.
Mhm.
Like it was good, clean racing. Through the S's is always fun, and through the last set of turns, it was him and Vettel were just side by side and racing wheel to wheel. It was great.
Yeah. And yeah, I would say another thing also. Magson's comment was some of the best racing I've ever been involved in, was his exact quote. Also, in terms of the young guys practicing, you got to see Pelot in the car. So, cool to see him get his first shot. He was happy afterwards.
Oh, he was very happy.
I guess
Yeah,
other
and Robert Schwartzman.
Yeah, I would say other F1 IndyCar adjacent connection news was Valtteri Bottas's comments, where he kind of today said like, oh, IndyCar is pretty interesting. Might see himself doing that in the future.
Never know.
And then
Well,
IndyCar,
sadly not Ricardo.
and Ricardo said, "Oh,
Yeah.
fuck that."
Yeah.
Well, he said fuck no to the ovals.
Yeah,
Just
which
pull a Jimmy Johnson.
okay, but here's the thing with IndyCar fans. There's two things IndyCar fans hate: people criticizing oval racing, and F1 drivers criticizing oval racing.
Mhm.
When Jimmy
Well, he
Jo-
didn't criticize it.
But he said
that's
it
not how
wasn't
it was
for him.
perceived.
He says it's scary. But when Ricardo says it, IndyCar fans lose their mind. When Grosjean says it, IndyCar fans lose their mind. Like, oh, what do you mean? You're not going to do... When Jimmy Johnson said it, they're like, well, he's old. He's
already done. That's all he's done.
Yeah.
Like, you give an exception for the American guy, but if it's someone else that's European or European-based, all of a sudden it's like, well, they don't know what real sport is. Like, it's stupid. Get your head out of your ass. Enough with this please like my sport stuff.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think I would love the chance to drive an Indy car on the Indianapolis Oval. Do I think I could get even close to their speed? No.
No. And even if you did, your suit would be brown no matter what color it started as.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, just smear it off the back. Ugh.
Oh.
Ew. Okay.
Yeah.
Gross.
But petition to bring Danny Rick over, and we can finally have Ed Carpenter can finally have what he wants, and someone who just wants to do street course and would be good at it, and he can do the ovals still.
Or Ed Carpenter flies a kite and finally stops driving.
That too. I don't know. He doesn't seem to ever want to give it up, so I figured this is a good solution that benefits everyone because we get to still see Danny Rick in a car.
Oh, and also we had Latifi rumors out there for Latifi going to Ganassi, which Latifi denied.
Yeah.
But also,
yeah,
don't
Latifi,
trust anything till there's ink on paper.
But like, everyone was running with it off the David Land's video on it, where he said like, well, it sounds like this is happening, meaning there's rumors of it. Then everyone took it as it is happening. And then I think it was Marshall Pruitt basically said that he was supposed to actually have a test this week with Ganassi that kind of got canceled due to weather.
Oh.
So
makes sense.
Well,
there's
where
smoke
there's smoke
there for sure.
Yeah, where there's smoke, there's usually fire in the motorsports world, so
Yeah.
we'll see. Patiently waiting for the announcement.
There was one tweet though today. This is one I was going to bring up that I found interesting, and I sent it to Steven this morning actually. It was a tweet from Sophia Flörsch, who is a young, talented, I would say, female driver out there, who has basically always hated the W Series, hated any kind of women's only series. She likes competing the old school way. Nothing against that. She is sticking with her thing, and she's having success with it. She tweeted, just like she retweeted a post of her being in an F3 car, and then the caption just says, USA is a possibility, but I prefer F3 here. Competing with the fastest pilots, I assume drivers. I face the stopwatch, no segregation. But the whole USA is a possibility. That is one that I would love to see her either over here in IndyCar, maybe, or in the IMSA series, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
That I think would, because she's been doing what, WEC or European Le Mans? I can't actually remember which series.
I think it's WEC.
I think it's WEC, yeah.
But yeah, her coming over and joining a big team over here would be kind of fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
So she she's only like 25. She's relatively young in her career.
Yep. I mean, she'll probably just have to go through the same rigors that every driver
21.
switching series goes through, which is
21.
Wow.
Jesus.
That is
But,
very young in your racing career.
Yeah, but she'll have to face the same challenges every driver has ever brought up when they've swapped series. Like, it's always, well, IndyCar has no power steering. You gotta get used to the fact that your arms do more work.
Mm-hmm.
The Formula series, you have to get used to the different effects that happen on your body, because while you have the power steering, your neck is gonna just be like ripped off your head.
Yeah.
So you got to train your neck muscles. So with how young she is, yeah, she's got tons of time to sort out one or the other. And I think that having now multiple Formula Series drivers with Grosjean, Eilert, and whoever else ends up coming over in the future, they'll just probably all keep saying the same things, and now you can have them, the younger drivers, if they don't see a path forward, they can start training to maybe try do something else to find a different way to either the top of IndyCar or the top of Formula One. Good job, Kat.
He is so needy. It has to go out. It's so annoying.
Gets that from you.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Okay, so is there anything else we want to talk about this week? I know we haven't really hit on NASCAR stuff, but at this time, I feel
F1, there was a lot that happened at F1, so we'll touch on everything else next week.
You want your NASCAR breakdown? It'll be an interesting fight for the last spot unless Blaney, Bell, or Briscoe win. Unless one of the B-boys win, it's either Hamlin or Byron for the last spot.
Yeah.
Good breakdown. So before we go, I wanted to do a quick thing we haven't done in a while. Overrated, underrated, favorite, least favorite of US Grand Prix gimmicks. What is your overrated, underrated, favorite, and least favorite Grand Prix gimmick? Who wants to go first?
Why don't you go first and sort of outline what our gimmicks are here?
Yeah.
Overrated gimmick, I would say, is the cowboy theme. On
that's
everything.
fair.
Whether it's showing up on a horse or doing anything like that, or having your outfit be cowboy themed or your helmet being cowboy themed. That is an overrated gimmick of the Grand Prix. Especially if all the stuff in Austin, and you're gonna pick the cowboy culture in Texas.
Just you wait until next year. Just wait until Vegas next year, buddy. It's gonna get even worse when they roll like high rollers.
I would love that way more.
Okay, but then also the cowboy thing is gonna get more drawn out because it's like, well, we have 3 races in America. Okay, so we do Surfs Up in Miami, Cowboys in Texas, and Gamblers in Vegas, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah.
And yes, I'm eating Halloween candy.
Or it's gonna be like that GQ photo shoot where it's just outrageous costumes.
I'm trying to think of gimmick here. I don't know. Shaq and the weird big horn car.
No, that's awesome.
Okay, I'll take it.
No, Shaq is hilarious. I love Shaq so much now.
I like how it's a tradition.
Yeah, because it's
Stephen, what's your overrated? We'll get to the Shaq thing later.
Every other celebrity on the fucking grid, because half of them don't want to talk to anyone, and you know what? They should just start trotting out. I know they have the we'll talk to you, or we don't. Get the ones that are actually fans. Just find them and talk to them because they will talk your ear off about it. Don't go up to random people. Like if you really want to start selling this in America, go to the ones that want to talk about the sport and not do or you know what? I'll narrow it down a little bit. Celebs on the grid walk. Get the big name celebrities on your little side panels before a session, after a session. Hell, bring them in during a session. Promote your F1 TV by putting I don't know, Brad Pitt, even though he didn't seem like he wanted to talk a lot this weekend.
I mean, okay.
But get your McConaughey's, your Shaq.
Just get McConaughey, honestly. He's there every single year. He's a fan. Just get Matthew McConaughey to talk. And
he shows up to multiple races too. As long as he's not filming something, like he's been in Monaco. Get the actual fans. Yeah. Like you want to get and you can also bring in new people. Have the celebs maybe try and pair them up so that way you get a newer one with a bit more of an in-depth fan. Like I don't know, you just don't ask the ones that don't really care about the sport.
The ones who are there promoting
to comment
something.
on If you're gonna get the promo, get on your way.
Yes.
Don't ask the intricate questions. Like You give oh, here's your new album. Who are you supporting today? Do you care at all? Go. Done. Don't, and we've said it before, Brundle, don't do the cheesy cutaways or whatever.
Yeah.
Do you want to, Megan Thee Stallion, do you want to rap for us? Oh, thank God. We didn't get that this weekend.
Yeah, I didn't even watch any of the Sky stuff. I was on the F1 TV watching that commentary with James Hinchcliffe, and that was fantastic.
Oh, it was fab.
Overrated? Or no, underrated.
Underrated?
Underrated, I will have to say. You know what? I kind of like, as much as I hate the cowboy gimmick, I like the cars incorporating some kind of stars and stripes. Not gonna lie, I've kind of always been a sucker for that.
Okay. Interesting.
Like the Williams car, that was like or the Haas one. I think they were pretty good. More one-off
I didn't really care
liveries.
for it.
Okay, that's fair.
I mean, I do like the one-off livery concept. Like, I think that's fun.
One-off livery, but it's a one-off livery to the country. Not a lot of them happen to the country. Usually it's more about the team.
Yeah, and I think incorporating like the country that they're in is fun.
So for me, that's my underrated.
I would say maybe like the food, like how hard they go for and like the food and the culture that they incorporate like for the fans and stuff and the people who attend.
That's a good one.
I think that's always that's a really good one, and I think it's really fun that they go all out to highlight like Austin's food culture, which apparently is like a really big deal and really awesome. So I'll go with that as my underrated.
No, I think that's fair. Steven?
Don't usually like doing this, but I'm gonna agree exactly with Sean because it was so nice to not see I know, right? It was so nice to just see the Haas have something other than like the white on it. Like it wasn't much, but it didn't look plain. And I think if you're the American team, you got to start marketing to America. You know, you're not funded by the Russian anymore, so you don't have to stick with the Russian coloring. Make that car, whether it's the one-off in America, like they should have I think a lot of the teams should run a one-off in their home country.
Yeah, I think so.
Because, you know, we seem to go all out for the American ones with the helmets and the liveries. Maybe not so much the other teams, but yeah, make little one-off liveries for your home race. Make it fun.
That's
fair. Like was it years ago they had the Star Wars Revenge of the Sith Red Bull car. That was fun. Was it the greatest livery ever?
Decades ago.
Yeah, that was 2005.
Almost 2 decades ago.
Yep.
Okay, gross.
Yep, that hurts the soul.
That hurts.
But point is, bring back the one-off liveries. I've always loved them in IndyCar. That's one of the best things. We got to see the Taylor Swift car. We got to see the Jurassic Park or Jurassic World car in Toronto. They're fun.
Yeah.
Have some fun with it. Make it iconic, and so that way we can do more livery lists and we don't have to keep bringing it back. That's what NASCAR's done really well lately? Running the retro liveries.
Yes. Did you see the one that was the NASCAR that done in like, it was the McLaren done in like the Dale Earnhardt livery?
No.
Oh, it looked really good.
Oh, I want to see that.
Yeah, someone did a render of that. That looked cool. So favorite gimmick. This is where I'm going to go away from Taylor. I'm going to say the Shaq in the car. I love it. I love how that's become a tradition. Shaq with the it is so good.
Because it's literally the one TikTok theme where it's it's like handing something to a what's the politically correct term? Little person, or is that the politically correct term?
I'm not touching this on the 10-foot pole.
I think it is. I don't know.
Anyways, it's made. These are made by people of that demographic. Well, that's what we'll leave it at. And it's someone handing something like a yoga ball, and all of a sudden it looks absolutely massive. And that's literally what it looks like every time when Shaq hands off the trophy. It's like Shaq's got like 2 fingers on it, and then Hamilton's like, oh god, this thing is fucking massive. What the shit?
Yes, 100% agree.
And then you have Shaq standing on the floor and Max standing on the top step of the podium, and they're the exact same height, and it's hilarious every time. Shaq is just like freakishly tall.
He's a massive
Fair enough.
man.
Yeah.
I do love the Shaq at the race.
I don't really have a favorite gimmick. Can I pass?
I mean, yeah, it's fair.
Oh, there's an
Like, I
easy
just don't have a favorite one for Texas. It's not one of my favorite
horse?
races on the.
Yeah, Horsey McHorse.
Okay, fine. Horsey McHorse. We'll go with
There, you
that
got
one.
Horsey McHorse. My favorite was some of the helmet designs that came out this week. You had the two best, I think, were the Daniel Ricciardo, Ricky Bobby helmet, but also
Who called
Alpine.
Who called it? What did they call the cougar on it? I think someone
don't know, I
called
can't-
it like a leopard or something. It's like, are you blind? I don't know. They got
I'm
the
not
animal
surprised,
wrong.
though.
It's like, really?
Yeah. But the other one that was somewhat underrated, but was marketed really well, was Esteban Ocon's Spider-Man helmet, and they did the Spider-Man meme in the pits,
That was
where
a
it was
good
just
one.
they just had three of the guys pointing at each other. That was hilarious. Oh god. Yeah, one-off helmets, one-off liveries, bring them all. Let them be creative.
Least favorite?
That's a tough one.
Carnival rides at the GP.
Okay, I will 100% jump on that one. I agree.
That is weird.
That's
Yeah,
stupid. I
no.
hate that because they were operating during the race. Like, what? It's dumb.
Yeah, no, I'll agree with Taylor on that one. That's mine too.
Least favorite.
That is a stupid ass thing to have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know what? Let's make it unanimous.
Okay, yeah. You shouldn't have
the-
carnival rides at a race.
Carnival
Yeah,
rides
no,
and,
no.
and also asking celebs stupid questions.
Oh, that's a good one.
That gets the celebs get a double dip. It sounds gatekeepy, but we're just trying to avoid the cringe stuff.
Yeah, we don't want
Come in, have
Brundle-
fun, and if you're
we don't
come
want
in,
Brundle
have
pulling a
fun.
racism.
Yeah.
come in, have fun. If you're doing a promo, just do the promo and be like, okay, we're good. And F1 just needs to get the actual F1 fan celebs to talk more and ask them the intricate questions. And if they're not into it yet, don't try. I don't know. It's weird. You gotta try
If
and
they're
suss
not
out.
if you're not a fan, ask them or just ask them what brings you here today. Why are you here?
Yeah.
If it's I'm
Read-
here to support yada yada, and or just I'm a big fan. I've watched this. I always love coming to the races. Okay, maybe go deeper. Maybe you don't go.
Don't
Rap me a song about F1 off the top of your
Yeah.
head.
don't. And it's like, don't like, because the whole thing was the list of here's who's okay, here's who's not. Don't rely on the list. Sometimes people have bad days and don't want to talk to you, or want to be private even if they are big fans. Ask a surface level question, and depending on your response, read the room, dig a little deeper.
Be a journalist. Not that hard.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay, and on that note, I think that's all we have for this week, and on the US Grand Prix, because we didn't really touch a whole lot else. So, Thank you very much for listening. We'll be back next week. Goodbye.
Thanks for listening to Spare Parts. Remember to follow the show on Twitter at sparepartspod and the hosts at Stephen Clary, at Sean Cavarella, and at Tate Moore.